The film begins with a detective named Howell who is trying to catch a thief on a cargo plane. So this thief just stole a bunch of money and is getting ready to jump out of the plane with a parachute. At that time, Howell shoots at the thief but misses, and the thief jumps out of the plane. Next, there's a guy named Will who works as a woodcutter. After he finishes his work, he talks to his coworker, Billy Rose, who is also a woodcutter. There, Billy asks Will if he wants to go hunting tomorrow because it's the first day of hunting season. Will agrees, and then Billy suggests they go to a bar later that night to talk more about their hunting plans. So it looks like Billy will be joining them for the hunting trip. Soon after, Will and Billy meet up at a bar. At that time, Billy suggests they go hunting together in the southern woods, but Will wants to try something different and suggests going to the northern forest instead. After chatting for a while, they decide to split up. So, Will head to the northern forest while Billy will go to the southern forest. Then the story switches to a mercenary named Darby, who is having a video call with a mafia boss. The mafia boss tells Darby that his men have stolen some money from him, but they haven't come back yet. So, the mafia boss wants to hire Darby to find his men because he thinks they might be lost or dead in the forest. Darby finds out that one of the mafia boss's men is the same person who jumped from the cargo plane yesterday. Darby agrees to help, but he wants half of the money as payment. The mafia boss doesn't have much choice, so he agrees, but he wants Darby to start searching tonight because tomorrow is the first day of hunting season. There, Darby assures the mafia boss that he'll get the job done, even if it takes until tomorrow. A little while later, Will comes out of the bar and runs into Darby, who's about to go in. They talk about how tomorrow is the first day of hunting season. Will asks Darby for a cigarette. The next morning, Will heads off alone to the northern forest to go hunting. When he gets there, he starts gathering firewood because he plans to cook steak for breakfast. Meanwhile, over at the southern forest, a guard is getting ready to open the gate. But suddenly, Darby and some of his friends show up. The guard wonders why Darby isn't dressed for hunting. Darby says they just want to stand out. Then he pulls out a gun and shoots the guard without hesitation. Soon after, the scene shifts to the local sheriff's office, where Howell visits. There, he tells the sheriff that last night he shot a bank robber who was trying to escape on a cargo plane. Howell thinks the robber might be seriously hurt or even dead after jumping from the plane. So he asks the sheriff to let him know if anyone finds money or bodies in the forest. Since today is the first day of hunting season, lots of people will be in the forest. The sheriff agrees to help and promises to inform Howell if he hears anything like that. In the afternoon, Will was out in the woods looking for animals to hunt. After searching for a while, he finally spotted a big deer. He was about to shoot it when he got distracted by some scattered money. As he followed the trail of the money, he stumbled upon a dead robber with all the stolen money. Will was shocked but decided to take the money with him. Later, Will reached the edge of the forest where he had parked his car. Just as he was about to leave, Darby and some other people showed up. They had seen Will with the money and demanded that he give it to them right away. However, Will refused to give the money to Darby because he knew it wasn't Darby's. He planned to take it to the sheriff's office instead. Darby then threatened Will, saying he'd hurt him if he didn't hand over the money, but Will stood his ground. So Darby ordered his friends to attack Will, and a fight broke out. During the fight, Will threw a can of petrol and shot it, causing an explosion. Then he ran back into the forest. Later, Darby got a call from the mafia boss, asking if he found the money. Darby said someone else found it, making the boss angry. He told Darby to hurry up and get the money back. Darby then ordered his men to split up and find the money, even if it meant getting rid of Will. 30 minutes later, while Will was taking a break and looking at his map, Darby attacked him suddenly. They exchanged gunfire, but Will decided to run away to a different spot. Unfortunately, he ran into Darby's friends again, and another shootout started. At one point, Will managed to defeat Darby's friends, but he got shot in the side of his stomach during the fight. Even though he was hurt badly, Will insisted on heading south because he knew Billy was in the southern forest. About an hour later, Will finally found Billy's car. But then, because of his wound, he passed out and lost consciousness. Long story short, Will wakes up to find his wound treated by his friend Billy. There, Billy asks where Will got so much money, and Will explains he found it in the forest next to a body, possibly from a robbery. He got the wound during a fight with mercenaries who also wanted the money. Will asks if Billy has called the police yet, but Billy hasn't because he didn't understand the situation at first. Will wants to give the money to the sheriff, but Billy suggests they keep it since they're usually poor. However, Will knows the sheriff is corrupt. Suddenly, there's a gunshot and Darby shoots Billy. Fortunately, Will manages to escape and realizes Darby's group keeps finding him. He discovers a tracker in the money bag and decides to use it to trap Darby's group. First, Will makes an explosive and puts it in one of his bags. Then he hurries to a forest intersection and puts the bag with the explosives there. He plans to target them from the top of a hill. After a few minutes, Darby and his last remaining companion show up. Darby becomes suspicious of their surroundings. When his companion checks the bag, they are suddenly shot. In this situation, one of Darby's men got killed, and Darby himself got shot in the hand. Seeing this chance, Will came down from the hill to attack Darby, and they exchanged gunfire again. Eventually, they both ran out of bullets and decided to fight with their fists. Sadly, Will, who was already hurt in the stomach, lost to Darby in the fist fight. Right away, Darby grabbed Will's money back. Luckily, some hunters passing by tried to stop them. Darby decided to run away, and Will, badly injured and without his money bag, suddenly fainted. A few hours later, Darby reached the edge of the forest. Suddenly, a hunter approached him, offering help. Instead of accepting, Darby cruelly attacked and killed the hunter, even though the hunter was being kind. Once in the hunter's car, Darby checked his money bag and discovered it was filled with only rocks, making him furious. That night, Will woke up in a clinic. Howell questioned him. There, Howell asked who attacked him and if he got the money. Will explained that mercenaries attacked him, and he managed to defeat them, except for their leader, Darby. Unfortunately, Will couldn't take the money, and now it might be gone. Shortly after, the nurse caring for Will suggested he should rest. Then, the sheriff arrived and reassured Howell that Will was telling the truth. Several hunters who brought Will to the clinic also confirmed they didn't see him with the money. Soon after, the sheriff invited Howell to chat in another room and offered to make coffee. However, as the sheriff went to get hot water, Darby, still angry at Will, stopped him. Howell noticed the dead nurse and realized things weren't safe. Then, a shootout broke out with Darby. At that time, Darby managed to overpower Howell with a knife. He said he didn't need to shoot Howell because Howell would die within 20 minutes from a punctured spleen. Darby then entered Will's room and shot at him without hesitation. But Will had already moved aside, and they ended up in a fistfight. As Darby knocked Will down, Will spotted a gun nearby and shot at Darby until he ran out of bullets. Unfortunately, Darby was wearing a bulletproof vest, giving him the chance to finish off Will. Despite his injuries, Howell summoned his remaining strength and managed to knock Darby unconscious. Soon after, Will rushed to help the seriously injured Howell. Several years later, Will visits Billy's grave and apologizes for not saving her when he had the chance. At the same time, Howell arrives because he still suspects Will of hiding the money. Then Will explains that if he had the money, he wouldn't be struggling like he is now, working as a low-paid tree cutter. Howell suggests maybe Will purposely didn't take the money to avoid suspicion and arrest. Will admitted that he was scared of Howell and maybe didn't want to save him when he was injured, but Howell believed him in the end. Will then said he would try to start fresh the day after tomorrow. Hearing that, Howell supported his decision, saying it's not a bad choice to begin anew. The following day, Will went into the forest alone. When he reached his destination, he revealed that he had been hiding all his money under the trees. Now he can leave with his money and start a new life. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is never underestimate the power of a tree to stash your cash, cause even Mother Nature loves a good bank.